Let's talk about power. Power in the judiciary and why we're seeing so many things that we're seeing. First, it's hard for normal people to understand how evil people look at power. You know, because I would venture a guess that you don't live your life seeking it out so you can use it for your friends, for yourself, and to punish your enemies. That's kind of an odd way to look at life, right? You probably don't want your kids to grow up and think in those terms. And so because that's not your value system, it can be hard to relate to people whose value system it is. But it's really important, not that you become that, but that you understand that's how communists operate at all times. Everything is about the acquisition of power and then using power to reward your friends and punish your enemies. It's how they look at everything. And when I say that, it's easy to think, well, yeah, that's why they want to be United States presidents. That's why they want to be senators. That's what. No, it's more than that, you see. They will seek out even the most minute amount of power so they can use it on behalf of the revolution. Maybe it is the office of the presidency. Maybe it's the local librarian and everything else in between. The local librarian doesn't have a great deal of power. She can't raise your taxes, open up your border. She only has a wee little bit. Her little bit of power is what books go where. Should we display this book here or that book there? What kind of guests are invited for the free reading they're doing for kids on Saturday? So with her minute amount of power, she makes sure the LGBTQ demon books are set right at the front of the kiddie section, and she's already arranged for you, the taxpayer, to pay for a drag queen and come read to your children with his penis hanging down on Saturday. This is how communists think, and normal people are always taken aback by communists because they don't think in this way. So before we get to the judiciary specifically, what is real, genuine power? What's almost the height of power? You know, we all of us, we are fascinated by the concept of organized crime. Hopefully you're horrified by it, but everyone's fascinated by it. Maybe it's the Italian mafia, drug cartels, biker gangs. We're fascinated by it. This underworld of powerful people who control territory, do crimes. But what's real power? Is it all the guns? Is it a willingness to commit murder? That's never been historically the real power of organized criminal organizations. Mexico, we'll make it about the cartels. Which ones gain power? They're the ones who find a way to buy off the judicial system. You know, in Mexico, if you hear a story, read a story about a couple people shot in the head, left in a ditch on the side of a road, do you know there's a reasonable chance it was the cops who did it? Cops will show up at a restaurant, throw you in handcuffs, throw you in the back of a squad car, and go shoot you in the head. Owning the power of the justice system is probably the height of power in any country. It probably exceeds political power. The power of a CEO certainly exceeds the power of the librarian. Judicial power, having the legal system, not just cops, of course. We're talking about judges. We're talking about prosecutors. When the legal system, when you have the power of the state, it's worth so much more than the power of all your guns and your willingness to commit murder. We routinely point out to clownish idiots on the left, certainly ones that achieve power in the justice system, and we mock them, and rightly so, but we should understand why they're there. I mean, Ketanji Brown Jackson is probably exhibit A for this. This woman, still can't believe this is real, this woman is a Supreme Court justice.
Female empowerment. I like it too. I think what I like about it is that I am having a very strongly negative reaction to it. Like I hate it. Which makes me think it must be brilliant.
That's a Supreme Court justice. She's on the bench for life. This woman here, calling black people essentially disabled. This is a Supreme Court justice.
Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act against the backdrop of a world that was generally not accessible to people with disabilities. And so it was discriminatory in effect because these folks were not able to access these buildings. The idea in Section 2 is that we are responding to current day manifestations of past and present decisions that disadvantage minorities and make it so that they don't have equal access to the voting system, right? They're disabled. In fact, we use the word disable in Milligan. We say that's a way in which you see that these processes are not equally open.
So why put her there? We're mocking her. I'm laughing at her. You're laughing at her. We're rolling our eyes. They must feel so stupid. No, you see, you would feel stupid. I would feel stupid. If I said, hey, you'd be a perfect Supreme Court justice. You go sit on the Supreme Court. And then they went and sat on the Supreme Court and routinely proved themselves to be brain dead. I would have some level of embarrassment, wouldn't you? Oh gosh, I can't believe he's one of ours. What did we do? But that's because you don't think like the communist does. The communist is not concerned about embarrassment at all. The communist is not concerned about intelligence, qualifications. They're not concerned about your laughter. The communist is concerned about what? Power. The point is, Ketanji Brown Jackson, for the duration of her time on the Supreme Court, will be a reliable communist ally. She will spend every waking moment fighting tooth and nail on behalf of her friends and trying to destroy her enemies. It's just simply about power. And look, it's not like she's the only judge in the country. Every day we wake up and we pick up the newspaper, or at least the digital version of it, and there's a new outrage about a judge here, an injunction there. But we should understand that's why those judges were put into place. They weren't put there to preside over cases. They weren't put there to accurately interpret the law. That's childish thinking in the mind of the communists. That's how you think. That's how I think. Those judges are there to help the revolution. Who's Exhibit A for these judges who are issuing all these nationwide injunctions? Judge Boasberg. Boasberg's the one, he's the name most people know by now. Certainly if you're a political person, you know him. All these nationwide injunctions. And then you dig in more into Justice Boasberg, and you find out he was the judge giving legal cover to Arctic Frost, that ridiculously illegal investigation by Jack Smith and the FBI, hoovering up text messages and phone numbers. How could that be legal? Well, all you had to do was find a judge, a revolutionary in judge's robes, and he'll give it the sign off on everything. Judge Boasberg. Eric Swalwell, by the way. Eric Swalwell, the guy who has mortgage fraud allegations draped all over him right now. Guess which judge just randomly got assigned to the case of Eric Swalwell? You guessed it, Judge Boasberg. Now, I'm going to say this. We have a long, hard road ahead of us, you and I do, to fight back against the communist revolution in this country. There are so many battles we have to fight. Believe me, we're never lacking a battle. If you wake up and you're bored politically and you're looking for something to do, there's always something. Local race, a national race, this group or that group, there's always something to do. But there is something that is true. We're going to have to acknowledge it. We can never see victory, final victory over the communists, until we root out the communists from the justice system in this country. I'm talking about the judges, I'm talking about the AGs, I'm talking about the DAs. Until we root communist revolutionaries out of the justice system in the country, we will never be able to see final victory, because that's where so much power lies. Somalia is hot in the news right now because Somalia is a disgusting country full of fraud and they abuse women. It's just basically the worst place on planet Earth. And because our politicians are evil, satanic monsters, they brought as many Somalis into the United States as they possibly can. And surprise, surprise, now they're murdering people, robbing cars, and committing fraud all over the place. Well, Keith Ellison is the Attorney General of Minnesota. Surely he's all over all these cases, right? Yeah, I'm sure he's going to get right on that.
Most importantly, we're not going to turn our backs on our neighbors. But because, of course, Somali immigrants are good for Minnesota, just like Hmong immigrants are good for Minnesota, Mexican immigrants are good for Minnesota, German, Italian, Irish, Norwegian immigrants are good for Minnesota, and Anishinaabe and Dakota people are good for Minnesota. They are together what makes us us.
I'm sure the Somali investigations are forthcoming. You know why he's there. He's there to take the incredible power of his office and reward his friends, protect his friends, and punish his enemies. How do these attorney generals, how do these AGs look at their role? Well, we're going to go listen to Clarence Thomas. You see, Christianity itself, communism has always viewed it as the enemy. They've been at war with it forever. I know your skinny jeans wearing pastor won't mention it on Sunday. You might offend somebody, but they're at war with Christians and Christianity. And I mean, what would they do if you had the power of the AG? They'd do things like this.
Did you have complaints that formed the basis of your concern about the fundraising activities here?
We certainly had complaints about crisis pregnancy centers that petition.
No, about this crisis pregnancy center.
So I think we've been clear from the outset that we haven't had complaints about this specific.
So you had no basis to think that they were deceiving any of their contributors?
I don't think that's correct, Your Honor. I think we had carefully canvassed all of the public information that is provided on the website of First Choice in making a determination that we wanted to initiate an investigation.
But you had no factual basis.
The Office of Attorney General identified a pregnancy center helping women choose life. A pregnancy center that didn't even have complaints against it. And they launched an investigation to destroy it because that's how communists use power. We can never reach the mountaintop. We can never see final victory over the communists until we root them out of our justice system. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.